wait, stop. He sells on the Pacers that he's talked hype about all season, and then buys the 76ers that we have trashed all season.
They got the generation of chatter on Twitter everywhere, and I'm pissed I'm giving it to them, but damn it needs to be talked about.
Starting to become big-time free agents, granted, but in their childhoods, in the early 2000s, were the Knicks ever good? No.
Welcome back to Dribbling Around, and oh boy, we're getting into the thick of it, the NBA playoffs, and glad to be back here with you. Another episode of Dribbling Around, definitely going to be a fun one. We're going to start things off here with Connor's own Oklahoma City Thunder. Billy Donovan leaving OKC, and I think it's fair that we start with Connor and say, first off, what does OKC do here? What's next? This is obviously huge news.
Yeah,
so
of course.
What's next?
It's kind of like the first signal that they actually are going towards the rebuild.
Mhm.
Like, we all kind of speculated, will they do it like last offseason? Will they do it at the trade deadline? Obviously, they didn't. They made the playoffs and pushed the Rockets to 7. Now I think they're going to. I think this is the key sign that they're going to let Gallinari walk. CP3 has already had a bunch of trade interest. Teams notably as Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, 76ers. I even saw the Nuggets in there too. And then you have so many trade chips. This is whenever Sam Presti's starting to go to work. He's like, just, all right, you guys had your fun. You had your chance. And like, let's just do what's best for business now. And Billy D, I mean, like, it's kind of hard to grade his tenure as an OKC head coach because obviously never made it out of actually you did make it out of the first round, only your first year though. But, I mean, it's just tough because you choked in the Western Conference Finals and then 4 straight first-round losses, granted. This was the, Coach of the Year season from him, but best of luck. And I think one of the best landing spots for him is probably New Orleans. I would love to see him coaching the Pelicans.
Connor, and again, the Thunder were one of the most overachieving teams this year, and you got to give them credit for that. And like we've talked about it in the past, they have a bright future. Lou Dort, Darius Baisley, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So it's not like it's a bad landing spot for a head coach. Personally, I think Billy Donovan should go back to the college ranks. Yeah, he had a Coach of the Year season, but he was so – listen, he won 2 national championships at Florida. I think he belongs in that. I think it's a good time. He's had his experience in the NBA. I could be wrong. I'm not going to go into his mind and be some
And that's
psychologist.
not knocking him. That's not knocking him saying that he should go to college. That's not knocking him.
No, I just think he could be a better fit there. And for maybe a Power 5 school or someone, Billy Donovan would be a great name. I'm not saying he would fit with another NBA team. When I think of Billy Donovan, I think of him as the Oklahoma City Thunder coach. But another thing that comes to my mind is how great of a coach he was for the Florida Gators. Right?
Yeah, it was 2 decades ago, though. Or not 2 decades, but it was 13, 14 years since he won a national title.
I know. He won back-to-back. Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer. Yeah, in 06, 07. I know. But, yeah, and I think Sam Presti, it's not like I have trust in Sam Presti, too. So I think the Thunder will find a correct way to move forward with the organization, maybe gather some more trade pieces. Again, they have all those draft assets. It's a tough decision to let Billy Donovan go because of the year he had. But Sam Presti, I think it's the right decision because you're saying to yourself, hey, maybe we need a new start. We tried to give it a good run this year. No one expected us to even make the playoffs. And we pushed the Rockets, who I'm going to disparage later. We pushed the Rockets to 7 games. So good for OKC. I mean, it's tough for Billy Donovan, but he'll find another job. And OKC, I think, they know what they're going to do moving forward. It might take a little bit to get back into contention, but with Sam Presti, I trust him.
No, I just want to say this before you give your thoughts, Jaden. I kind of expected Billy Donovan to not get re-signed, even though, it still surprised me. Whenever I saw the Woj bomb, I'm pretty sure it was Woj who got credit for that flash across my phone. So it was like, damn, this is really going to happen. We're actually going to rebuild. We're actually pretty much going to trust the process now. Okay, Philly, I stole your phrase. But, yeah, I have no idea. I don't think they're going to hire, a proven head coach. I think they're going to try and get someone who's really going to, grow with this core. And, hey, he mentioned it whenever we interviewed him. Josh Longstaff planning on being a head coach in this league. So he's free right now, Sam Presti.
I think he'd make a great fit. Josh Longstaff. Put him over
He's
there
already
in,
familiar with the org.
100%. Before I want to make my point, but before I do, I want to see what you just have to say, Connor, once again. Who do you think is actually going to be the next fit for the Thunder at the head coach position? Do you have a name in mind as it stands right now, or is it too far away to tell?
It's too far away because, I mean, you look at all these guys who are available, like Alvin Gentry, Nate McMillan. Like, I think these are guys that are going to go to more proven rosters. Like, OKC, it's going to be like, okay, they're going to just be bringing in new talent year by year through the draft and everything. So it's like you don't really know what kind of coach you want. You just want someone who's going to be able to grow and develop your roster, not someone where
I think you got the perfect name then if you have.
yeah,
if you think of
exactly.
that guy.
But no,
I
it's like
yeah.
you don't want to draft or you don't want to hire a coach and then draft specifically for his system. You want to draft and then hire the coach to fit your players. So I don't know. It's tough to see. I think it's a little bit too far out to tell.
I think with the point that you're making, Mark Jackson might be the guy.
No.
Why don't you say that? Because if you're talking about development, I think he's no one better than Mark Jackson, right?
I don't know. It's probably just.
I know he's been out of work for a while.
Terrible announced games, but
What about New Orleans, Jaden? What about New Orleans, Jaden?
I
Mark
feel like
Jackson.
I wouldn't say that they're not developed, but like they're in a different stage that I think the Thunder are. I don't think the Pelicans are rebuilding, if you will. I think they're ramping.
I think they're on the come up.
Yeah, I think it's a better on the come up. But the Thunder are in full rebuild. I think if that makes sense. So if you get all your young guys, put Mark Jackson as the head coach. Have him build them up, and I'm not saying he's going to take you for a championship run, but he could build the championship team, and then same Warriors type of situation. Now I'm going off of history here, so but I think Mark Jackson could be a good fit. I don't think that's a bad idea.
Where do you guys think Billy Donovan's going to land? Because I said New Orleans. I think that's a good landing spot for him.
I think
New Orleans needs as much development as you said, Jaden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that OKC and New Orleans are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum, where OKC is selling. And New Orleans could probably be buying right now, but New Orleans already went through the bottom of their rebuild. Where OKC, they're trending that way.
I think he takes a year off and he goes to a premier Power 5 in college.
Okay.
Jaden, what about you?
Not out of the question.
I mean, we got Chicago, Indy, Philly.
I could see him working in Chicago a little bit.
Yeah.
I could see him going to a big market like that. I think there's no problem with that. Him going to a place like Chicago. I think that's an underrated pick. Him going to a place in Chicago because, I think they're going to need something like that. A coach that will be able to coach a team that, at this point they don't really have the names that you would like. But he's been known to not really be able to do that for that often. Especially this year, he really showed it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Nate McMillan coaches the Thunder. Just a hunch. I don't know why.
Upset with that. It's just like I almost want to just take a flyer on someone who's unproven as a head coach.
Okay.
Just because you're pretty much taking flyers on all these players coming in. I don't know.
I mean, moving on, right? Who else is without a head coach, right? Houston's without a head coach. Indiana, Knicks and Nets just hired one. Chicago, Philly. There's 6 head coaching vacancies right now. So there's going to be a lot of coaching carousels we're going to talk about. But with that, OKC, they're mentioning the rebuild. Connor, you mentioned Chris Paul and trade rumors. We had an argument this week about Chris Paul and Alex Caruso over the phone. He said to me, would you trade I know the Lakers, they have their window is LeBron's window unless they get another big star to go along with AD after he leaves. But would you trade Chris Paul for Alex Caruso straight up? And I thought about it for a second, and I said no. Hear me out. Chris Paul is old. He's injury prone. What else was he's injury prone?
I wouldn't do it straight up
let me stop.
You're forgetting the part where he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, where he was pretty much a top 5 MVP candidate.
Okay, Connor.
Where he's more than just a passer. He's a clutch scorer and a good perimeter defender.
Connor, let me finish this. Caruso is a much better defender. You're going to get more longevity out of him. He's an improving shooter.
I'll let you finish. Mm-hmm.
You're going to get more longevity out of him. He's an improving point guard, and he plays his butt off in the fourth quarter. Listen, I'm going to take Caruso. I'm not saying Chris Paul. Chris Paul right now is the better player, but I'm looking 2, 3, 4 years ahead. How many years am I going to get out of Chris Paul? 1? Am I going to win the championship that year? Is it guaranteed? No. And look what Caruso's doing right now. He's making a huge impact. One of the reasons why the Lakers' defensive game plan worked against Portland and Houston was because of Alex Caruso's ability to pressure the ball. And Chris Paul, great, yes, he's a great ball handler, one of the best passers ever, first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not denying that, Connor. But the Lakers, LeBron James was their point guard this year. He led them in assists. Avery Bradley, they have him to guard the ball. They have Caruso. What do they need Chris Paul for? Arguably, they're playing the best basketball in the NBA right now. Why mix up that combination?
I'm not doubting that, but would you welcome back Avery Bradley into the mix next season with open arms? I know you would. Like, yes. Chris Paul is going to they're going to elevate, because when you think about it, Brooklyn's coming back to full health. Golden State's coming back to full health, not to mention either the number 2 overall pick or whatever they can get for trading for him. The Lakers, if they stay stagnant, that might not be enough to win a championship next year. And yeah, I get it. Caruso is the energy plug. And yeah, I would love to have Caruso and Udort on the same team. That would be my dream. Start raising the banner. But no, like, you're literally saying Chris Paul won't help the team as much as Alex Caruso.
I'm saying yes, not in 1 year, not in 1 year.
Who
but
cares?
I'm saying over
LeBron's contract is the window.
All right,
I think Caruso.
Right. This is sort of comparative to trading away a prospect for a proven player in baseball.
Yes.
Sort of comparative to that. So if you're going to do, yeah, I know. Yeah, you can't really say the same thing for basketball, but he's young. That's what I'm saying. So he has a lot of time left. Chris Paul, not really a lot of time left, but he's been playing so well right now. If you do put him on that Lakers roster, you're almost not guaranteeing yourself a championship, but you're really putting.
You're the betting favorite, at least.
Yeah, 100%. You're putting a lot of eggs in that basket for a championship. I feel like if you're gonna do that trade, you have to add on a pick.
Well, yeah, of course. No,
yeah, you can't do straight up. You can't just go 1-1 like that. You have to add on a pick. Maybe at least a second or a third to make that switch there. But it helps both teams in a sense, because the Lakers, they're going to get that ring. But, I feel like they can do it without that Chris Paul addition. They could do it with just LeBron and AD, I feel like, at least, with the way things are trending in the West. And with the Thunder, it's an awesome building piece because he's young, talented, and exciting. What else do you want? What else do you want? This guy is able to do it all. So it's a win-win type of trade, but I think there's also a lot of big names there as well. So I don't know if it's feasible, because the names are pretty big.
What do the Lakers need? They don't need – I get Chris Paul's a great player. He was an all-star this year. But the Lakers don't need another great point guard that can pass the ball, that is going to take away – things from maybe take shots in clutch time, and I get Chris Paul's clutch, but I'd rather have LeBron and AD shooting it. No offense. Chris Paul, I'm not saying he's not clutch. But what do they need? They need more guys, role players with defensive identity, and then you're taking it away from them? And also, Jaden, you mentioned, obviously Sam Presti wouldn't do that straight up.
Yeah.
So they'll probably ask for a first-round pick. Why would I do that? And by the way,
have you ever heard of signing players on a vet minimum? And Dane, I just threw that
Chris Paul will not sign a vet minimum.
What?
To play with LeBron, maybe.
Maybe.
That's
if he's
lining up to sign vet minimums with Golden State, why wouldn't they do the same with CP3 and LeBron?
If he signs, that's one thing. If it's a trade, that's another. If he signs, I'll take him.
I'm not talking Chris Paul signing a vet minimum. I'm talking about the guys you replace Caruso with, or whoever's involved in that package. And I threw Caruso CP3 1-for-1 just because you were balking at the idea of even trading CP3 to LA.
It might be recency bias, but Caruso is playing his butt off.
Might.
It is.
You're talking about CP3.
Yeah. I think the names are too flashy at the moment as it stands.
Give me some time. Like Caruso, Kuzma, guys like KCP, Marcus Morris.
I feel more comfortable trading Kuzma away.
Yo, I give credit to Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma was supposed to be that third scorer. That man right now is playing such good basketball, buying into his role. He's taking threes, but he's not trying to be he's learning how to score without the ball. He's cutting hard. He's running in transition.
He's improving.
He's getting about 10 to 12 points a game from just running the floor. Yeah. And it's awesome.
He's doing what he was supposed to do as a basketball player, right? He wasn't doing that before, That's what bothered me the most.
Well, no, I felt like he was they would try and get him in isolation situations. He can shoot it. He knows how to score with the ball, but when you have two bona fide superstars on the team and you're trying to play the third fiddle, he hasn't really learned that. So what else can you do? Where else can you make an impact? And Jeff Van Gundy pointed out, Kuzma and Michael Porter Jr. have been the two best cutters probably in the playoffs, cutting to the rim, flashing to the ball, doing what they can. And when you have a Jamal Murray and a Jokic or a LeBron and AD, that helps them out, especially with a passer like LeBron.
All right. I think we talked enough about
Here, like, just one more CP3 trade
Alex
thing.
Caruso.
Dude, I'm not stop it with that. But like one more CP3 trade thing. Obviously, there were more teams rumored to be interested other than the Lakers. We had the Bucks thrown out there.
Yes.
Obviously, the 76ers, I said a while ago, would be a good fit. Where
Milwaukee.
do you I think Milwaukee would be a great fit.
I think that'd be
Milwaukee.
nice, but I think that ties into our next topic with Giannis. That's my question. Oh my god. So
Here we go.
on social
Here we
media,
go.
on Instagram, it all comes out. He has unfollowed all of anything Bucks related has been unfollowed.
He actually is
And-
following his brother, who is technically a member of the Bucks. So.
But I think that's a fair person to follow, given that is your blood. That is your brother. So excuse me. But as lawnmowers start to go across outside the window,
Like Miami
do you-
against Milwaukee, lawn mowing over in 5, Bucks in 4.
Bucks and 4.
Okay.
Do you guys think it's legitimate that Giannis is out of Milwaukee in some type of in any way, shape, or form, whether he demands it or obviously the
another
Bucks aren't going to
year.
want that? I think he has another year, but I think the thought has definitely crossed Giannis's mind of no longer wanting to play in a Milwaukee uniform. I think that's fair to say, at the least, that hey, maybe I'm not so comfortable wearing the green and white.
Cream
and
City on my jersey.
Cream City, that's just I don't even want to talk about that.
A Harley Davidson patch.
Maybe he wants to go somewhere where the market's a little bit bigger than Milwaukee. So, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Do you guys think that his time is ticking there in the green and white?
Connor, go ahead.
I think that he's going to stay a Buck, not only for this year, but the year after. I think he's going to sign the Supermax. And I don't think like Miami or other big market team is going to be able to lure him away, because I think this meeting that he just had with ownership, that's going to lead to a very big trade this summer. I'm thinking that, okay, obviously we lost in the conference finals last year to the eventual NBA champs. And then we very disappointing second round loss to number 5 seed Heat. So I'm thinking that if I'm Milwaukee, I know that next year is almost do or die, championship or bust. If I want to keep Giannis, you have to make a big trade. And I think Bledsoe is probably on the chopping block. And I wouldn't be shocked if Middleton gets moved either, because although he's a great shooter, like all-star shooter, he's not a proven Robin. And that's kind of where the argument where is Giannis a Pippen? No, Middleton isn't the Pippen. That's what it is. And even though like Middleton pretty much did by himself force that game 5, he hasn't, like, that duo didn't show up. Like Giannis played well, but Middleton didn't. That's whenever they were both on the court. So I'm expecting big shake up in Milwaukee, but I'm still going to expect they're going to be probably at least a top 3 seed in the East next year. But I'm booking Giannis for a Buck for a very long time.
I think the same thing most likely. And I think that's a great point. They have to get another bona fide star, because if they don't, if they get the same result as last year, or if they lose in the conference finals or whatever, or even the NBA finals, it's very realistic to see Giannis leaving to go to a big market.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. And I don't know who. Is it a Chris Paul? Is that going to be it in like one of his – it might be.
You don't think it's a logo behind you, right? I don't think the money is there.
No, because he'll become a free agent and LeBron will still be under contract. I don't think
I don't think the money will be there.
Now, if he signs like a 2-3 year deal with another team and then he becomes a free agent again, I'm not going to rule that out by any means.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Giannis, it looks really bad right now. But the trend with the recent stars isn't going to help, because LeBron, where he left for Miami to get his first title. KD, he left for Golden State to get his first title. The narrative now is a lot of these players need to go and team up with other superstars. And again, Giannis, like you mentioned, Connor, Middleton really isn't that Robin, and Bledsoe has been terrible in the playoffs the last 2 years. I mean, come on. But Is Miami the answer? Is someone else the answer? Like, I don't think he'll request a trade by any means, but he probably told ownership, Connor, yeah, get somebody here, because what free agents? This is another good point. What free agents are going to come to Milwaukee?
Yeah.
No offense, I haven't been like in the heart of Milwaukee.
Wait, now cross it off the list.
Yeah.
No longer allowed in Milwaukee.
I love this.
I think Josh would welcome us, though. I think Josh would welcome us.
I think
Josh Longstaff. Yeah.
Yeah, just make it known that Dane said that, not me or Jaden.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I just love the scene from Friends where Phoebe goes, they're sharing like where the weirdest place and Phoebe just goes, Milwaukee. One of the greatest scenes.
This is not a Friends podcast either. Let's just
You're nuts.
I am not a big Friends guy.
Megan Young was on the show. Come
and you
on,
would
man.
think
I'm
from New. I'm more Seinfeld. I take that head and shoulders of a friend. I don't know. There's something about Friends just.
Did anyone? Okay, kind of getting off topic. Did anyone see? I know this isn't basketball. Did anyone see Aroldis Chapman this weekend?
We're not keeping.
Wait, did he shit his pants or?
I think so. Yo, OBJ be like, yo, bro, what do you want?
I was like, you need a bat boy?
So wait, all right. I know this isn't a baseball show.
It's not a baseball show.
But what I
Dane
gathered is that he didn't actually go in his pants. That he had to go. He had to. And then like it was like, oh, he was feeling it.
Well, he had to go. What if he had like a wet fart or something?
Yeah,
like
I think he might have taken the risk on you take.
I mean, he's throwing like 100 miles an hour.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore.
Can we
Well,
talk
yeah,
about
but
the Bucks? Can we talk about Milwaukee?
I'm just saying, OBJ.
At the end of the day,
Chapman
Milwaukee.
shitting his pants on the mound?
Now, at the end of the day, let's finish it with Milwaukee. At the end of the day, after the abysmal, whatever happened against the Heat, now there's a lot more question marks than I think there would have been if let's say they made it to the finals and lost, or if they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost. Now there wouldn't have been as many question marks of the future. Now I think there's a lot of questions, a ton of questions. What's going to happen in Milwaukee next? No, I really don't think he stays.
Really? Where do you think? Do you think he gets?
I think he's going to go to end up.
Signs?
Say it again.
Do you think he demands a trade or signs?
I think he signs. I don't think he demands a trade.
Where do you think he signs at Miami?
You don't know yet. We need another
We don't know
year.
yet. I think we're a year away. We don't know yet. I think
I think
it really
a lot
depends
of
at the
this,
time.
like, Giannis is unhappy and Giannis might demand a trade or walk. I think that's all just media buzz, because Milwaukee, top best record in the NBA, is suddenly out of the playoffs. It's like, all right, let's just milk those storylines right now. I think that's I think I'm not saying where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think that's the case. I do definitely think that Milwaukee's going to have to make some pretty big changes to their roster in order to actually be considered title contenders. Because after this year's disappointing loss, people are going to look at them as pretenders rather than contenders next year if they just decide to run it back.
I think we need to see a different brand of basketball from Milwaukee, because the way they played in the round two just wasn't it. It just was not.
I think Giannis needs a star guard. I think that's the ideal Robin.
Very good point. Very good point.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Middleton isn't talented enough. It's just, does he fit the way he needs to?
Yeah. I don't think he is the exact perfect fit for the Bucks, and there's going to be a lot of change there. But I think,
like, if he leaves, I'm thinking of the Eastern Conference teams that he could possibly go to. I think he's more likely to go to the West. There's teams that'll have cap space.
There's a lot of space in the West.
I know. No, listen. There's not a lot of teams. Like, there's teams with cap space in the East, but he wouldn't go there. The two teams that come to my mind are Miami, and he's not going to go to the Knicks, even though the Knicks are probably going to offer him a bunch.
Well, I hope, for the Knicks' sake, you obviously hope, that would be, I feel what a lot of people, like Kevin Durant came out and said it. He's like, he didn't want to be the savior of New York. He didn't want to be a Knick. He didn't want to do he didn't want to play in the Mecca. But some players want to do that. They want to be in the Mecca. They want to, because that when they're growing up watching basketball, especially in the 90s, that's where I was at, Ewing and the studs.
No, but that's the thing, though. Mecca. I said this in episode 1, though. When these guys now in this generation, when these guys were kids, the Knicks have always sucked. That's the problem. Like, they were little when Patrick Ewing in those years. In 94, 95, 99. They weren't into basketball yet. So
nothing ever is going to take that. Like, what people don't understand, people don't understand, the Knicks are the worst run franchise in basketball at the moment, and the Garden is always sold out. there's never a night where the Garden isn't sold out.
It's an experience.
Why wouldn't you
It's
want
not
to
about the
play?
game.
Why wouldn't you want to
James
play
Dolan.
in New York? Yeah, very good point. So
That's
I
it.
think
That's the
I think, yeah,
main
that's
like that's really
until Dolan leaves. I don't think we're gonna get a big guy in New York in a while. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the Knicks now, but it sort of relates with Giannis. But with what Kevin Durant said, he didn't want to play in the Mecca, and some players just, I guess that's the.
Well, does that
vibe.
shock you for KD?
Yeah, honestly, no.
Guy ran
Honestly,
into
no.
Golden State.
Yeah.
And by the way, he doesn't have.
Let me hold on. I'm gonna look at one person's contract, and we'll end the conversation after this because it's getting a little long.
All right. Well, then
But,
while you're looking, I'm just gonna send a message to Sam Presti. If you don't want to go through a rebuild that badly, 2-step process. 1, hire Josh Longstaff. 2, lure Giannis to OKC with Josh Longstaff, that young core, all that cap space. You're in Milwaukee already. Just go to OKC. Like,
Okay.
small market to small market. It's
Amazing.
beautiful.
Here's my thing, and this would involve Giannis later. They would need the cap to do it. All right. Do you think any team would want Porzingis?
Yeah.
I don't.
If they can, if
think
Milwaukee,
Porzingis
okay,
would
if
want
I'm,
It's tough because of that injury history.
if I'm,
It depends on what they get for it, but yeah.
listen, I get it though.
Fine
If
with
they
it.
can get rid of most of that salary, they won't do this. But if I'm Dallas, I'm thinking of a master plan. You get rid of KP, and then you have the cap, and you sign Luka to a max, and you sign Giannis to a max. That would be the
There you
scariest thing ever.
I mean, it would
the
because
European
those are obviously
invasion.
those are going to be like 2 of the top probably 3 players like in the next 4 years.
I didn't know.
I don't think that won't
I didn't know
happen,
Dan was
but, like-
playing 2K My League or something like that. where you just
Dude,
go in
I just
It's
thought of it.
more like playing like my team where you get the cards and you fill in the.
You call me
that's
stupid
a-
for Ben Simmons for CP3.
Listen, obviously it's if you have the money for it, you go for it, and
Yeah.
don't put anything past Mark Cuban. He's on Shark Tank for a reason. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I'm saying.
Oh man.
All right,
I
let's
think
move
we're
on
done.
to the
I
next
think we're done with
topic,
that.
and
I think all right.
yeah, I mean we already kind of discussed them whenever we mentioned D'Antoni leaving, but Houston, they went out with a whimper after really like kind of shocking everyone, jumping out to that 1-0
This is what I
lead.
don't get from Dane. Like, you give all these thumbs down.
Okay,
I want him to speak,
You want me
but,
to
like,
start? You want me to start?
sure,
My
go
Lakers
ahead,
beat
have
the
fun.
Rockets. Okay, this isn't about D'Antoni. Great offensive mind. Daryl Morey, great offensive mind. Good for you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how much the losers, the Rockets, were being all babies, crying about everything. PJ Tucker. By the way, not a Russell Westbrook fan anymore. That guy's a
Anymore? So at one point you
like,
were?
Not really. I was like, I didn't like hate him, but like I dislike him now because all he does is this, and he can't back
That's
it
why
up.
I
He
love
just
him.
drives in.
He tripped Rondo's brother, who's the
Rondo's
the
brother
bubble
was
barber.
chirping him.
the
Rondo's
bubble
brother was
barber.
doing the Dame wave.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Rondo's brother was doing the Damian Lillard wave to him, saying bye-bye. The Rockets were playing small ball. Yes, they're a gritty team. They were just a bunch of babies. Like, go Lakers. We
They were
crushed
down
them
like
after game
20,
one.
and Russ was demanding a double team. How can you not love that guy? Like, he was having a terrible series. And, like, yeah.
And it was hilarious.
He did have a terrible series. He had a terrible postseason, too. And I'm not making excuses for him. But coming back from COVID and what was it, a quad strain or a hamstring strain? That can't be easy. And, like, and obviously now the taste in everyone's mouth for going into the offseason is going to be Russ was terrible. He had a very good regular season. He had the most efficient regular season of his career. It just sucks now that literally whenever everyone was watching in the bubble, he just reverted back to every single negative tendency for that team. And it really, I'm not going to say it sunk them because I don't think they ever had a chance to beat the Lakers, but I mean, it definitely threw any chance out the window.
Their window's closed, I think.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
They had a 5-year window.
They could get if they had kept Chris Paul this year. I mean, you don't know.
And
Daryl Morey
Capella.
could trade for another. Yeah, they could trade for another star. I don't know. Like James Harden, I know he's had his inconsistencies in the playoffs, and they're gonna have to keep Russ. I mean, that's not Harden and Russ. They're gonna have to get another. They're gonna have to have a big three. They can't do it, or they're gonna have to have like a bunch of like a Miami type team where a bunch of good role players where you can't play small ball. Yet small ball, it's a great idea, but like for certain games, you can't do it against. It almost lost to Chris Paul and OKC. No disrespect to them, but like, come on.
No,
And Steven
disrespect
Adams
to them.
played.
OKC, yeah.
No,
All right,
Steven
listen.
Adams played terrible
Listen.
in that series.
Listen,
So-
I think we need to broaden the scope of this conversation just a bit. because with D'Antoni leaving, obviously now I guess you consider maybe an end of an era for the Rockets. Obviously, the window is closed, and this is kind of it. But if you look back on the past 5 years, right, and what they went through, they lost in the first round to the Warriors. They lost in the conference semifinals to the Spurs. They lost in the conference finals to the Warriors. If they think that was the year that they had the healthy. If they had a healthy,
they should have
if they had a healthy CP3, they could have. I think at that time, because CP3
that was a Scott Foster game.
If CP3 was there, I feel like they definitely had a better. They took the game, the 7-game series versus the Warriors. So if they had CP3, I think they definitely had a better shot and probably could have won the series. Maybe won a final, NBA Finals, right? Versus LeBron-led. Well, Cavs team, but you know who was on that team. It was LeBron, and that's it. And then they lost to the conference semifinals to the Warriors, and then obviously this year. But listen to those names that were there. The names that they lost to most of the time was the Warriors, right? So if the Warriors weren't there, I think we're seeing a finals win from the Rockets. And
where's KD though? Like whatever team KD's on, I don't know.
Well, yeah, but yeah, that's a good point, but at the same time, wasn't KD also there back in 2017? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, KD. But I'm saying, like, if they could have won that,
they could have won that series if CP3 was there. You know, I think that's a very fair point to make. You know, given that he was the hottest thing since sliced bread on that team, well, along with Harden. So, would you consider this a failure? Yeah, you know, you sort of have to, given that a ring didn't come out of it, and you had Harden, you had CP3, you had Favi. You know, you still have Harden, but, you know, at this point, it's the end of an era, and it's a failure. It's sad to see, given that it was behind a Warriors team that was just unstoppable. And that's why it's sort of tough to say that it is a failure as well, because, you know, like it's sort of like the Rockets trying to get past the Bulls. Oh, excuse me. The Pistons trying to get past the Bulls. They couldn't do it anymore because the Bulls were just too good. You know, it's sort of that type of scenario.
But the Pistons beat them though, early on.
Yeah, and early on, but they once
Jordan got too good.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once the team got too good, that's it. It was over for the Warriors. Got too good, and that's it. It was over for everybody in the West. And if the Rockets were in the East, you know, just to say, I think they definitely could have won a finals.
Where's your future though? Like,
that's exactly. No one knows anymore.
Exactly.
No, I'm just looking at the retrospective on the Rockets right now. I'm not talking about the future at the moment. I'm just looking at the retrospective and what just happened. Just looking over the past 5 years, their future, that's out the window now. You know?
Yeah,
it's pretty much over for the Rockets. They had their window. That was open back in 2015. And now it's closed. That's over.
Because like, if you're gonna trade for another star, who are you gonna give? Ben McLemore, Daniel House, PJ Tucker, and Austin Rivers or Robert Covington? Like, what? The problem is, like I said, small ball can win games. Small balls are good when you put it in as a lineup against like mismatches and things like that. And Houston moved the ball very well at times. But their downfall was Westbrook. Like, if you have 5 shooters on the floor, that's one thing, and that worked a lot. I mean, the Lakers had LeBron and AD, and they took over, and they had a good defensive strategy, double-teaming Harden, forcing other players into ISO. But Russell Westbrook, it was like Lou Dort in the Thunder series.
If Westbrook was playing I feel like Westbrook wasn't playing at the elite level we all expected him to. Yeah, so he wasn't playing to the elite level that we all expected Westbrook to play to. And if he was, probably speaking a different conversation. But I think that was the big question that we all had when Westbrook came to the Rockets. How are these two guys going to mesh? It's Westbrook, Mr. Triple-Double, well, and Harden. Yeah, exactly, it was. But then they finally got to the play. That's my point. It was working well in the regular season when things didn't really matter that much, and it got to the playoffs, and I think both of them sort of wanted to be Mr. Big Man just a little bit. Mr. Harden, you know, I'm James Harden. This is my team, and I'm Russell Westbrook, and this is going to be my team. I think I'm not saying that they're butting heads, but I think when you put two guys together like that in a playoff situation, I think that's where it really was their demise. Yeah.
I disagree slightly only because, like, I was working in the regular season. I think if we don't see a stoppage, Houston is a lot hotter in this playoffs, and maybe the series goes to 6 or 7. And I think that injuries, like, and also House getting sent home. How about the first big shit from the bubble? Yeah, I think that also played a role too.
So let's not ignore that. Gotta get a COVID test. You're trying to say
he's getting that COVID. He's getting that COVID test. Come into my room, baby. Come on. Come on.
But no, I think that if Russ, like, and I'm not trying to make excuses for him because, like, Russ is one of those players where you have to add context to his resume in order to like really justify it. Because like in this case, he caught COVID and like had a leg injury going into the playoffs. That is like probably the worst two injuries or things that could happen to a player like Russ, who like literally plays off of his athleticism. So I just think that it was tough. It was a bad draw the way Rockets had everything, with the way the season ended, the way it restarted, and all the way the dominoes fell. But I mean, Russ is definitely on the stink list after that playoff performance.
That was my question to you. Connor, has your opinion of Russell? You obviously Westbrook.
It's not like the overall opinion, but I mean,
yeah.
I'd be kind of like I'd be ignoring the play and just leaning way too into my bias to not put him on the stink list after that, because he was putrid for the last 4 games of that series.
Mm-hmm. And now, guys, D'Antoni, I think there's been some rumors to Philly. That doesn't really work with Ben Simmons and his offense. I mean, I don't know. He's a good offensive mind, but
he can run the pick and roll like nobody else. We saw that with D'Antoni. That we've seen him run offenses with everybody. He's with the Suns, with the Knicks, with the
Lakers.
Everybody. He's been able to run an offense.
The Lakers, too.
Yeah. So you put him it's his choice at the end of the day. You know, like I feel like it's sort of like that. I think a lot of teams are going to say, yeah, we want you, and he's going to be the one to make the decision. I think it's very rare for coaching decisions to be like that, but when it's D'Antoni, it sort of does, because he's that offensive mind where that's what it kind of works for him, because he's able to make an offense out of almost – we saw with the Rockets, you know, like how things kind of changed over there. Where, you know what? I remember watching the game of what was it? The Game of Zones thing is called. I remember the hilarious show. It's like him in a lab with Harden, and it was like, how do you expect me to shoot all these 3-point balls? Like, what if I miss them all? And then D'Antoni's like, oh, what if you make all those 3-point balls? So, you know, offensive mastermind, he's going to have a plethora of places to go. And you're saying the Sixers probably want to be a good fit, and I kind of agree with you there. But you know, he's going to.
The Sixers are going to make roster changes, so I don't think he's going to the Sixers as currently constructed. If he does sign there, but I mean, he's going to be able to pretty much pick and choose where he wants to go. He could even like take a year off or 2. He's getting up there in age if he wants to. He could just wait for another opening, or just it's literally he has his choice. It's not like, oh, Billy Donovan or Nate McMillan is like, it kind of depends what team wants him. This is Coach D'Antoni. He's going to be where he goes.
Who do you think is going to be a good head coach candidate for the Rockets? I heard Jeff Van Gundy, ESPN announcer.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be too much. I think that'd be way too much conflict between Harden, Van Gundy, and Russ.
I would love to see them go like an all gas, no breaks approach and just hire Alvin Gentry and just plan on scoring like 150, even though you're letting up 145. Like that's just your entire game plan. I would love to see that.
You never know.
I really can't tell you who it's going to be for the Rockets. It's that's up in the air. Tyler.
Yeah. We've talked about have we talked about the Western Conference basically the whole time with the exception of Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I think
it's time to switch
up now.
Well, that's really where the story has been for a while.
Switch it up, Connor. Go ahead.
Switch it up? Okay, I'll switch it up. Yeah. We now have the Eastern Conference Finals coming up. I think it starts Tuesday, correct?
Back in 2011,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. That famous LeBron. All right.
Whenever he killed Jason Terry, right?
Was that it?
I don't
was
think
that it, or was that in the regular season?
That was the regular season.
Jason Terry was a Celtic. That's all I remember. That Miami Boston.
Shoulders cold.
Now, before we get any deeper, just congrats, George. Great prediction.
Yeah.
I think 50%. Skylar and Liam also had that, so shout out to them too.
We're just bad. We're just
bad.
Dude, we're like 3 of the 4 at the bottom of the bracket.
Shouldn't we like know things like we do
we
this
should.
like every week? You know,
I'm just still gonna
maybe because they play
on that 27 to 32 in the bubble. I'm still gonna hang my hat on that. That's like untucked Kyrie performance right there.
I'm like the Bucks in the regular season, very good. And then
exactly.
But that's so good.
So we now know, obviously, after that pretty thrilling 7-game series between Boston and Toronto, we got Miami-Boston. I think Miami is kind of a similar team to Toronto in the same way that they play great team defense. They don't have that one bona fide star that is going to give them buckets day in and day out. They just have plenty of guys who can, and won't kill you offensively, I think. Well, Toronto's supposed to have that, but we'll talk about them later. But what do you guys think? Let's kind of wait on the predictions. Let's just how do you think each team sizes up?
All right, so the Heat, I don't want to give them. I give them a lot of credit. They beat the Bucks, right?
Oh no!
But
Here we go.
They beat the Bucks are playing, I feel like, really bad basketball. But the Heat were also playing really good basketball. The Celtics beat a Raptors team that I think were the best coached team in the playoffs at the moment, and I think they just beat them. They just beat them. So I really have to give it to the Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to be able to beat the Heat. I really do. I think the Heat can go a far way in this.
I agree with you. I'll go to predictions right away. I have Celtics in 7. I think it's going to be a really difficult series. And Connor, all the points you made, the depth that Miami has, the shooting that Miami has, if Miami wins, same thing with the Toronto series. I will not be surprised. 2 great head coaches, but when it comes down to it, I was texting you this. I'm going to take Boston's top 3 and 4, Tatum, Brown, Walker, Smart, over Miami's top 3 and 4. The perimeter defense, I think, will be good enough. And I know it's been inconsistent sometimes. And in the end, I saw Middleton took over in that game 4, and that could have been an outlier. But in the end, for a closeout guy, Tyler Hero has been great as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
You got Dragic. But Boston, I'm not really going to count on Jaylen Brown, but Marcus Smart can hit big shots. Kemba can close it out, and Tatum can close it out.
Yeah, Kemba stuttered a little bit. Against the Raptors. So
after
that's
the beginning.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that Walker's going to be able to persevere. And I think if you're the Celtics, you just need to make sure, much like how you did against Lowry, even though he did drop a lot, that when it came clutch time at the end, especially in Game 7, that you're able to contain. And I think it's hard to stop Lowry in a time like that, putting the whole country on your back when you're Canada. So, Mr. Canada.
Best Raptor ever?
Maybe. I don't know about that.
Maybe. It's close.
I don't know about that. That's another discussion on its own. Some people would give that to Kawhi.
I wouldn't.
Even though he was there for it.
I'd give it to Kyle.
I think you should have had to, just for your heart, for your soul. It makes your soul feel.
All right, but get back.
But Jimmy Butler, you just got to make sure that he is contained. I hate saying the word lock. Oh, you got to lock down. You got to lock down Butler, because you're not. You're just not gonna be able to do that. You're just too good. But if you contain him, right, in some way, shape, or the word, and I feel like you're going to be obviously a lot better boat because you're taking away they're cutting the head off the snake, Jimmy Butler's really been the face.
That's the problem, though, with Miami. I'm going to defend Miami even though I have Boston in 7. Miami
I know, other players are going to be able to do it, but I think you could say the same thing about the Celtics.
I don't know.
Their top is a little better. That's why.
You've seen,
Tatum,
although Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown can easily drop 25 without breaking a sweat. Yeah. There's been times in the bubble where they have each shot the team out of it. So, and I'm not gonna
few games. I'm not gonna say they're gonna do it in this series.
I'm not saying it's a common theme. I'm just saying it does occur where they get really cold. And I think Miami, great defensive team. I think they can force that. Kemba started off that series very hot, and then just he wasn't aggressive whatsoever. He was not taking shots. And then the wild card, Marcus Smart, was he really improved as that season grew on or extended. But can you really count on him for making 5 threes and only shooting 7? Shooting.
Listen, I hate putting my foot in my mouth again, but I feel like the Heat.
Celtics in 4. Say it.
No, I'm not gonna say that. But the Heat, they played good basketball. But they beat a Bucks team that was playing really bad basketball. At least from what I saw. The Celtics, they beat a Raptors team, in my opinion, who is playing some of the best team basketball that we've seen in the bubble, in my opinion. The best coach.
I think Miami forced Milwaukee into playing bad, and I think Boston inched by a Toronto team that would have won had Pascal Siakam shown up.
I'm not saying yes,
and I'm not trying to discredit Boston's defense for Siakam because obviously they played him well, but I just think he was terrible on his own because you saw his decision making, everything. It just wasn't there. He had
Toronto.
It was weird. He just had no confidence or something. But is just like all his IQ, like turnover after turnover, and it was just unforced error. Like he would just
Yeah.
dribble right into his defender and then make a bad pass, like literally right at the second at that helping defender.
Yeah,
It wasn't really anything
Okay.
Boston was doing in particular. It was just Siakam just sunk him.
Also, though, here's my point, though. Siakam stunk. I'm not going to dispute that. Lowry was the heart and soul of that team. He played so hard, and Miami does have this sort of that mentality too. But I did not expect Siakam played bad. But how well did OG Anunoby and Norman Powell play to keep them in that? They made up for that.
The threes
That's the
in Game
thing.
6 at the end of that game is really what.
And
Yeah, but
Anunoby
Norman
game
Powell
3.
taking that layup against Marcus Smart was.
Oh my god.
You knew how that was going to end.
That's a great play.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
I
great
mean,
play.
it was just stupid on Powell's end because you knew exactly how that was going to end. Like, it was a 1-on-2.
Caruso-esque.
And Marcus Smart was one of those two. What?
I said it was Caruso-esque.
Oh, yeah, okay. But
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
just
go ahead.
I think that Miami is going to eke, even though, like, I think Boston would have a better chance at winning against whoever comes out of the West. I think Miami is going to eke past the Celtics. I think they are going to play similar style to the Raptors. I just think they're not going to have a guy who sinks them as much as Siakam did for Toronto.
The difference is the Kemba Dragic matchup and X factors for Miami. Jay Crowder and Andre Iguodala. I love them on that team, Miami. That's why I think it's going to go 7. But like I said, I think Boston's defense will get some stops in the end, and I think this is Jason Tatum's time. He's going to find a way to do it, and I think Bam is a mismatch, but I think Tice will hold his own enough. He'll get in foul trouble, I think, a good amount, but he'll hold his own enough. Not saying he's going to outplay him, but I think he'll make some sort of an impact so it won't sink the Celtics.
You know who else I think is going to really step up big? I think Kemba Walker's really going to be a bigger piece than he. Yeah, I think he's going to be a bigger piece than he was in the Raptors series, and that's when you got Lowry on you, guarding draped all over you. But I think he's going to be a way bigger part in this Miami series, and he's been waiting this whole career for being a big spot like this with the Celtics. This is the main reason why. So I feel like he's going to be big for him.
I mean, you mentioned like waiting his entire career for this. I think Jimmy Butler is going to step up in a similar way. But if I'm looking at Miami, I think you're going to defensively, you're throwing Goran on Kemba. You're throwing Jay Crowder and Iguodala probably on Jaylen Brown, just because I think Jaylen Brown is one of the most athletic players in the NBA. Then you can probably throw Jimmy at Tatum. Like, they match up very well defensively against this team. And if I'm picking an X factor, I'm looking at Goran. I think he can win that matchup 4 games out of a set. Like, if that series goes to 7, I wouldn't put it past him to win that matchup against Kemba 4 games out of those 7.
Yeah. Who do you have?
Also want to say something first.
I know.
I like the Celtics. I just hate Boston. Like, I'd root for
Thank you.
Let's just
look at his logo.
We talked about this.
And then look at the jersey.
Yeah.
The Celtics aren't a hateable team. They have dope players. But like in terms of Boston, yeah.
Facts. How are you gonna hate
Carson Edwards? Like Carson Edwards is such a stud at Purdue, like in that Virginia game in the Elite Eight, bro.
Oh my god.
Bro, okay.
I just want to like before I offend all the Boston fanboys, I like your team. I hate your city.
Thank you. Well, no, not the actual city. Like, if you've ever been to Boston, like, it's a cool city. But like, there's 4 teams like
so cool
the
about
Red
having
Sox.
12 Duncans on the same block.
Okay, that's true. The Red Sox. I haven't been there in a while. The Red Sox, the Patriots, the Celtics. Obviously, I'm a Laker fan, but it's like hard to dislike the Celtics. And then I'm not that into hockey that much. But like,
it's not hard to hate the Bruins. Trust me.
They don't need another championship. They don't need another championship. City boss. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Miami's gonna win the series anyways. Heat and 7.
And what? How many?
7.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to 7. Yeah, I think it's going to 7.
Celtics and 7. That's what I got.
Celtics and 7.
Jane, you want to double down? Like, I feel like you gotta balance out that last round, and just like I feel like you have to hit a series in 4 now. Do you want to just double down real quick? I'll give you the chance.
It's impossible at this point.
You sure?
I think I don't know. I think it's impossible for anything to be in 4 at this point.
Okay.
If we look at the Western Conference, I think it's a very slim chance. It's a very particular way of events, but.
Before we go over to the West, Connor, you have a new nickname for Pascal Siakam.
We all should because Spicy P no longer is a valid name. Like, I have 2, but I'm sticking with one. My first, and I know you guys each have one too. So, Comment
I do.
below which one you think is the better nickname. And I'm just going to start out by, like, my first one, and this one doesn't count, but Stinky P. He obviously made the stink list. I think he was the sole reason why they lost that series. But my new nickname for Pascal Siakam is Trash Cal Siakam. I like that one.
That's terrible. It's one series.
Whatsoever. I just found these, and I'm like, I'm not an original guy.
All right, Jaden. Jaden, you have one?
I don't know.
I
Did not step up Siakam. I don't know. Like listen, it was disappointing, but what made me feel better about it is that it wasn't like it was like you would say that it wasn't like just because he did bad, it was like the whole team suffered because he did bad. Obviously, he put them into bad situations, but the rest of the team was there to pick him up, and obviously it just didn't work. It just
it became
Kyle Lowry. He became too much of too much of an issue for them to physically force into a better role, and Lowry literally blood, sweat, and tears trying to will this team into a victory. Just couldn't do it. It's okay.
Give a lot of credit to him. My nickname, Soupy P. It's kind of like he was slow and he didn't do well. He was stuck in soup, like he was sick. He needed some chicken noodle soup.
All right.
Seriously, not like ICP or like
quarantine.
ICP's cool.
Honestly,
I feel like ICP is like clutch P.
Playoff P is just a nickname for anyone who like just absolutely shits the bed in the playoffs. That's just like the new class of the NBA stars. Like there's stars, there's performance, and then there's just playoff Ps.
Yeah. Soupy P.
But before we dive into the Western Conference, because we obviously have a Game 7 to preview that's going to happen Tuesday, I think that was kind of weird. Just like something I noticed was every Coach of the Year like candidate kind of sunk their team in their own way. Like Billy Donovan, I think he miscoached the hell out of that Game 7.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I would say Nurse.
Hear me out. Because then Nurse was
even on the court, man. He was trying. He got the pass through.
Hear me out. So, I think Billy Donovan mismanaged the hell out of that Game 7. Budenholzer couldn't get the minutes right whatsoever when Giannis was healthy.
Yeah.
And then Nurse, he just played Siakam to a fault. Like, I think if Siakam's off the court and they throw Serge in, I think they're winning that series in 7. I think that Siakam was the reason why they lost.
Siakam, like it's hard to take.
It was so obvious that was the right move. Like he almost cost him that overtime game. Like he wasted.
He has so much invested into a player, not even money wise, but like city investment and just like how much you hold that player to such a high regard. Like Kawhi was gone, and now that's supposed to be your guy. It's hard to take a guy like that off the court, And I guess as a coach,
whenever he hasn't shown up for the first 6 games, though,
as a coach, that's your job to do to make that ultimate decision. But that's also very, very tough.
I think that's where Nurse failed the team. I think like you knew what you were getting after those first 6 games. Like you knew Siakam wasn't just going to randomly show up at the beginning of Game 7. Like you knew that's where his level of play was, and Nurse just didn't make any adjustments whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not going to diss him. He won a championship, but like I saw the Barstool Sports tweet. If you guys have ever seen the famous SNL skit, Nick Nurse was out on the court and he was like this. He's like, "You'll live in a van down by the river." Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that? Okay. Yes, of course. Yeah, Chris Farley. Rest in peace. Switching over to the Western Conference, we're going to talk about my Lakers a little bit later, but I'm grooving because we might not have to play the Clippers, Nuggets, Denver. Okay, look at the picture. Jamal Murray went full on LeBron mode. They've already done it once. Sunglasses, bro. What the? I was watching the game 6 yesterday. What the heck? What the hell? I think
Kawhi is kicking himself because he left a perfectly good Raptors team for a Clippers team that might lose to the Nuggets in 7. Like and obviously if Kawhi is on that Raptors team, it's a completely different story of what we're talking about right now in both the East and the West. But this Nuggets team is playing great because the Clippers team is not adjusting at all. They're playing
second
the same.
half.
They're playing Harrell way too much and not playing.
They're literally saying this. They're saying, "All right, we have our brand of basketball, which is fine to have. Play your own brand of basketball, but when you notice that Jokic is open from 3 and just does nothing but shoot and makes every shot he makes, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna guard him? All right. So in the fourth quarter, they put Kawhi Leonard on him. But when they do the switch, it doesn't matter because Lou is too short to guard the shot from Jokic because he's legitimately just taller. So what boggles my mind is you have a coach like Doc Rivers. Why aren't you making this adjustment at halftime for the past 2 games that you've noticed that, hey, this guy's getting really open and he's doing really well with the shot and Jokic is really stepping up,
They were up 16.
It's the comebacks. They were up by 21.
I know you're up 16, but then
comeback.
you still make adjustments just because you're up. You don't.
I know, but like the Nuggets, been the Nuggets coming back late in the fourth quarter. Give them credit.
They're coming back because the Clippers aren't adjusting, and the Nuggets are. Literally, that's all it is. That's how you come back. You make adjustments, and the other team is not.
Kawhi's only doing so much on offense. He's playing well on offense. Paul George has been playing better, but hold on. Let me look at I need to look at the box score. I do not think you had two of the top 3 6-man of the year candidates. That's one of the reasons why I picked them to win the championship.
Because
I don't think yes, they were not. I'll look at the box score right now. They did not play. Paul George at 33
this entire series because he's being asked to guard Jokic whenever he physically can't.
Lou Will had 14, but his plus-minus was 10. Harrell had 5 points in 15 minutes. Also, he can't guard you. His closeouts were terrible.
Yeah.
And they're forcing guys like JaMychal Green to take shots in the corner. No offense to him, but Landry Shamet isn't playing well. He's in a cold streak. Pat Bev fouled out quickly in 18 minutes. Zubac's got 30 minutes, but only gets 2 points. I mean, he's played his butt off.
Zubac doesn't ask to score. He's asked to stop or limit Jokic.
Yes, but guys that I'm looking at the box score right now, Kawhi and PG, they did their thing. But the reason why I said the Clippers would win it all is because they need other guys to step. Marcus Morris, 5 points.
The Clippers are falling apart. That's how I see it. I think the Clippers.
I'm still going to go with them to win Game 7.
I don't know.
I know the momentum's
are the
all
hottest
Denver.
Team in.
No, they're not. They're not the hottest team
right now. I
they're
think
the second hottest. They're the second hottest.
Behind the Heat.
Yeah, the Heat.
The Lakers.
No.
It's a different scenario.
The Lakers are different. They're just steamrolling everyone, whereas the Heat, they just pulled off a huge ass upset, and the Nuggets are there's untouched Kyrie, masked LeBron, and then there's down 3-1 Denver Nuggets.
Here's what I'm scared about. Gary Harris is hitting shots now. Paul Millsap is just gritty. He's that guy they need. Jeremy Grant plays good defense. Plumlee can pass enough. Craig competes. Porter competes. I know they've had those 2 comebacks. They cannot let them Clippers get up by 18 early. Just don't do it again. Stay in it. And then in the fourth quarter, give yourself a chance. In the end, though, I think it's going to be pretty close. I got to give the edge to Kawhi Leonard. I think he's going to come up with a big play.
I don't know.
Because then you're also you're not Dane. You mentioned the depth. That's the reason why you're picking the Clippers. And then you're saying, you know what? I'm just going to say that this one player is going to will them. I think the depth is going to sink them in this case. I think
I think he'll will them in the fourth
in the
quarter.
Playoffs.
I'm saying in the last 3 minutes, I think Kawhi will will them.
I'm not even sure if they're going to be in that position.
Yeah. That was the argument I was making, and I finally get to see it in fruition that the Clippers, I feel like the depth isn't there, and with teams that LeBron has been able to carry, the depth sort of has been there because he's been able to will it to be there. And I feel like with the depth being depleted at the moment, I don't know if Kawhi and Paul George is going to be enough to beat a Nuggets team that's going full cylinders. Right now, the Clippers are falling apart, and the Clippers do win it. I think the Lakers are going to have a field day against the Clippers.
I think the Lakers are winning the West either way.
Yeah, I think the Lakers are
right now. I stuck with the Clippers. Right now, it looks like the Lakers are going to win easily. Yeah. I would say Lakers in 6 over Clippers. If the Lakers played the Nuggets as hot as
look
they
how disappointed Dane is. I picked the Clippers to win it over my team, and then now they're going to actually win. My bad. Sorry, guys. I picked.
No disrespect to the Nuggets, but I think the Lakers would steamroll them.
To the Nuggets?
I honestly right now.
I wouldn't say that would be a steamroll, but I would say
6.
Yeah, 6, maybe 7. Because the Nuggets are hot right now, and I feel like they match up pretty well. Not perfectly because no one's going to be able to guard LeBron, but I think Jokic can guard.
The Nuggets have been able to make comebacks, and some teams have been able to make comebacks against the Lakers. Houston did it a few times. But the Nuggets are completely a second-half team. Like, you can't deny that. So what I'm saying is the Lakers have a thing where, like, their past few games against Portland, the games they won against Houston, they'll get up by, like, 20 in the middle of the second quarter, and they won't let their foot off the gas. If they play Denver, Denver cannot do that because the game will be over. The game will be over. I'm sorry. Like,
I think this series between the Clippers and the Nuggets, it's single-handedly dependent on how well the Clippers are going to be able to adjust in a way to defend Jokic.
I'm gonna here, Dane. You already said you're picking the Clippers just because of sheer star power and Kawhi. I think
they'll play better defense too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the Nuggets. I just think they're like, I know obviously it's really tough picking against Kawhi, especially in this spot. And then you look at the roster, and the Clippers are clearly the better team on paper. They just haven't been the better team in the second half for the last two games, and that's when it's mattered. That's been their Achilles heel.
Top to bottom, best roster in the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. But
on paper, only means so
that's
much.
what I mean.
Only means so much, and I hate the word on paper because you need to see it on the court, and they have not been able to show it on the court as it stands at the moment.
I know the Jazz. We were talking about the Jazz beating Nuggets in 5, and then we're all gonna get that wrong. Jaden, props to you for picking them in 7. I'll give you that. But
we said Nuggets
down 3-1
Didn't.
to the Clippers. If the Nuggets come back, like, I can't even blame this on Paul George. Like, he's been actually playing well in the losses.
He's been playing decent, yeah.
Yeah,
And I will say
he's playing like an all-star. Like he should
This
be.
is one of the most, I think people might undervalue this a little bit. This is one of the most epic collapses. I'm not devaluing Denver by any means, but LeBron's going to be, no offense to Denver, LeBron's going to be dancing in his pants if Denver wins Game 7. So will I.
I think everyone is,
Clippers.
especially after seeing Pat Bev and Kawhi and even PG talk all that trash just to not even make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
But Dane, you said Kawhi is your X factor. Jaden, you said Denver. Who are you picking like as the key guy to make a play down late?
The key down. Okay, so it's gonna have to be for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
To make a play, so obviously Murray has to be the guy.
Okay, yeah, I'm on the same boat with you.
I had Joker.
I also at this, it's both of them because they work so well off each other, and they just have not been able to guard Jokic. That's the thing. They have not been able to guard him, and they're passing around the perimeter is really good. So in the fourth quarter, they play. Michael Porter Jr. He plays, man. Like, I know his numbers might not be as great, but he does the stuff that the box score doesn't show. And for whatever reason, ever since that he came out saying that he wants to be a baller, he's been balling in this bubble in the playoffs. So I really give a ton of credit to and we don't really think about the Nuggets and their depth, but they've had it. So it's like they had it. They're playing.
That's what willed them back in Game 5, especially. Paul Millsap willed them back. But no, I mean, I'm picking Jamal Murray too. Like, Joker's going to be there all game for him. I think Murray is going to be a second half player, as in, like, he might be good in the first half, but he's just going to step it up in the second. And I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to make a key shot from 3 down the stretch.
Yeah,
that's just kind of how I'm
prediction.
I can see that.
The Nuggets, I think I read this stat. I could be wrong. They're the first team to play 4 consecutive series where it goes 7 games. Last year, first round against San Antonio, which they won. They almost won the Western Conference Finals last year. They lost to Portland, but everyone knew they were going to lose. With the winner that was going to lose to Golden State. Utah this year, and now the Clippers. And they're 2-1 in those situations. So we'll see. The Lakers are already in the Western Conference Finals. Huge series. And I got to calm down a little bit because I got to think to myself, we had the mismatches. But first off, huge credit to Frank Vogel. As great as LeBron and Anthony Davis has been, I get we lost Game 1, but the defensive adjustments he made to double-team Harden later in the shot clock, to let Westbrook shoot, I know that's not that big of an adjustment. A lot of coaches would do that. But to force other players into isolation and the defense the Lakers had inside, Frank Vogel, one of the reasons why they brought him there was because of that defensive identity. And even though they've lost Avery Bradley and everyone was saying that's going to be such a bigger loss after Game 1, they've been awesome. Kyle Kuzma cutting to the rim. Markieff Morris has become a sharpshooter. KCP and Danny Green are making an impact. Danny Green's getting low on defense, making some plays. Rondo, he wasn't as great as Game 2 necessarily or Game 3. He's been good. I've already talked about how awesome Alex Caruso was. if the role players play like this to go along with LeBron and AD, maybe I'd like to see a little bit more from Anthony Davis. This team is going to win the championship. I mean, if they have this is how you win, because guys like Kyle Kuzma embracing their role, cutting to the rim, making big time threes. The Lakers have all the right pieces flowing right now. I just hope right now it looks like they're my dead-on favorite. I know I picked the Clippers, but, like, taking off my observations, they're my dead-on favorite. I just hope they didn't get hot too early.
I don't think they got hot too early. I think that this is the perfect time.
I don't think
This is the perfect ramp up. Now you're about to go into the Western
They
Conference
hit their
Finals.
stride, and I don't think like a break after beating Houston in 5 is going to affect them negatively.
They might lose a game 1 again. Jeez.
I don't know. It's just they can't go up 3-1. Let them tie it at like.
Oh
2.
yeah. They can't go through.
Oh, because if it's 3-1, it's over.
Exactly.
the Nuggets are just
it's
gonna
like just
do the
right
greatest
in the
team.
Nuggets in permanent ink at that point.
Oh my God! If the Nuggets and then they go down 3-1 to the Lakers, Jamal Murray,
That'd be one of the.
That would
Obviously,
be-
this
I'd
is
be
all
fighting my
storyline speculation, but that would be one of the greatest Western runs in the history of basketball ever, if that were to happen. And very unexpected.
Denver.
But
Yeah. Okay, if you had to pick, okay, it's really hard. I don't want to change my pick from the Clippers.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like the series goes longer if they're going against the Nuggets. I'm not really gonna lie.
No.
They're playing that well. The Clippers suck
disagree.
right now, man.
I'd say the Nuggets series goes to 7. I'd say the Clippers series goes to 6.
Yeah.
You think the Nuggets would push the Lakers to 7?
Yeah.
I
think
disagree with
they're
that.
playing
You got the
really
resiliency, and
good.
Dane, obviously, you've said it. Like the depth is like what makes you think the Clippers are legit. They
The
haven't
Lakers
shown
are
up whatsoever.
Dude, the Lakers are it right now.
Yeah, I'm saying. Well, no. All right,
That's
then
the
fine. I'm saying
problem.
the Clippers only win 1 game, and the Nuggets win 2.
The Clippers. Okay, if the Clippers,
I
play
might-
the
yeah, I
Lakers,
might say-
that
yeah.
series is going 6 or 7, dude. Kawhi and Pete. That's like literally psychological. The Clippers would step up their game. It's LeBron. They've been waiting for that series. The hype going up to that. Everyone
They might not
thought
even
would
make
be
it
that
because they
series
can't
won.
show up to it.
I know, but it's Denver. It's LeBron. It's LA. It's almost like, and the Clippers match up a little bit. Denver matches up better than the Clippers than I think the Lakers do. That's the thing. That's why I think the Clippers.
I think
just it
Denver,
goes 6.
Denver matches up
very well against the against the Lakers.
Wait, say it again.
I think Denver's like sneaky good matchup against the
I
Lakers.
think they match up pretty well. You got Anthony
And,
Davis. And Jokic is just really who you're.
It's
gonna
like obviously
to
you don't
guard
have the
LeBron,
LeBron stoppers that the
yeah.
Clippers do and Paul George and
Jokic can
Kawhi,
go-
but you
Jokic
got
can guard Anthony Davis.
You
Jeremy
don't think
Grant,
so? I
maybe?
think so.
Grant Jokic, I don't know, but hey, that's all hypothetical. We won't even know if we're talking about Nuggets Lakers until after
It's
Tuesday
not going to
night.
be Nuggets Lakers.
Ooh,
Could be Clippers.
that's like
Lakers.
Are you willing to like?
I'm not gonna doubt. Listen, when it comes down to it, he's the 2-time Finals MVP. He just led his team to a championship last
How
year
confident
in
are you in that?
Toronto.
How confident
So-
are you in that?
80% positive.
I usually when I go to Game 7, I would say it's a 50-50 shot. I'm leaning more like 60-40 Nuggets right here.
I think I'm leaning, yeah, around a little bit less than 70-30 Nuggets. I'm leaning towards 60-40, 65-35 Nuggets. But I think we've touched all the corners of this bubble. I think just one more thing I kind of want to talk about. Obviously, we're making it close to the finale of this. Do you guys have a playoff MVP so far? Dane, I probably know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
I think
I
we've
think there's
seen
only
Jimmy
one guy
Butler.
really. Wow.
Jimmy Butler.
I don't
Kawhi,
know.
LeBron. Yeah, and I'm my candidate. I haven't even mentioned him. I think Jamal Murray's the playoff MVP. So
Yeah,
far.
yeah. I think it depends on this next game. If they win, I think I could give it to him without a shadow of a doubt. If you beat the Clippers like that, in the fashion that he has, I think you give it to him. But yeah, I think so.
Okay. It's not anyone from Boston because they've kind of split. Jamal Murray, I would put second and third. After the first round, 100% it was him. He just hasn't had those type of games. It's LeBron James. It's LeBron.
Okay,
James.
well, you can't say he hasn't had those type of games. What, 50 burgers? Like,
Yeah,
come
but
on.
LeBron's putting up like triple doubles every night. He's putting
No,
up like
yeah, I knew you were going to go
30,
with LeBron,
15,
and I'm not discrediting that
11.
pick. Obviously, LeBron hit his stride, his playoff Bron, and I even said it. Like, I was saying Lakers are going to win it all season long, and then I pick with my gut for my bracket instead of picking with my brain, and that's what screwed me right there. But no,
Yep.
I'm fine with that pick. Gene, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going Jamal Murray. It really depends on this next game because it was very unexpected. That's the thing. It's very unexpected. I think it might be that's how you sort of give awards. You give awards to the guy you didn't really expect to do it. You know, LeBron. Yeah, obviously he's expected to do it in the playoffs, and he can win it you can win the MVP every year. We all know that. But usually he's given to the guy that's unexpected, and I think Jamal Murray definitely deserves that credit. He really has stepped up, and without him, we wouldn't be talking about the Nuggets at the moment, and we are. So look at that. You know, we that series, the Jazz and the Nuggets, we blew off as nothing, and the Nuggets are a legitimate contender as it stands in the West, as the Lakers continue to be dominant as well. But I think we've covered everything, and now we're getting down to the home stretch.
Who, if you had to, I don't want to change my pick. I know I had the Clippers, but as of right now, if I had to pick with how the teams are playing, I would say Lakers over Celtics in 6. What would you guys say?
I think
Lakers over Heat in 5.
I think I would agree with Dane. Lakers over Celtics in 6. I don't see that going to a game.
I don't
7.
know. Those would be tough tests for Al. We'll get into that if it happens. And we don't even
I
know.
wouldn't be surprised if it gets to a game 7, but I think LeBron has it. I think LeBron has it. He's set up to succeed as it stands. You look at the people that are in front of him, the teams that are in front of him, and you would have thought that those would be the teams to be standing in his way. At least
And, you know, after all this crazy year, everything that's happened in 2020, all the awful things in the world, sports being canceled out in March, we're finally getting everything back. The one thing to bring things back to normality for me, the Lakers winning a title, and who else? LeBron James. In memory of Kobe Bryant. You know, what else? And we're on a roll right now, and hopefully if we play this back once the NBA Finals are over, it isn't going to come back to bite me. I'm going to look smart. Thanks for watching, everybody. Dribbling around.
Says the man
18.
that picked against his team against probably at the time the utmost rival that they could have had.
It's okay. I'm honestly.
That's like me picking. It's like Mets Yankees World Series, and I picked the Yankees. That's sort of how it is.
Okay,
just a bit.
It's like
it's like Mets Phillies in the
NLCS,
and I picked the Phillies. Like that's sort of how it is. Like that is just like, oh boy.
Lakers are rolling. Make sure you follow Dribbling Around on social media. Make sure you follow our personal accounts on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll post probably some Instagram lives. Maybe get someone else on the show. We don't know. A lot of playoff action coming up. Who knows? I don't know. What are we going to do when the NBA season ends, guys? I don't know.
Cry, definitely. A lot of tears, but
I'm going to cry regardless.
More impulse jersey buys.
If the Lakers win, I will live stream myself on Dribbling Around account, and I will be bawling in tears.
I have
of
literally
joy.
nothing.
Will you watch? Will you watch the show?
I'll watch that.
I'll watch.
I don't watch a lot of the lives, but I do sometimes.
There we go. All right, make sure you tune into episode 19. We'll have the conference finals set, which will be exciting. Again, make sure you follow us on social media. Subscribe, tune in to our Instagram account for some more fun stuff. Jaden Becker, Connor Glent, Dane Richardson. Peace out.